Welcome back, NUIC football fanatics. We're here to bring you our Week 9 matchups and predictions. As you can see, I'm by myself here tonight. Shane is out in the fields working this week, trying to get the harvest in, so we're going to fly solo on this one this week. Got a couple interesting matchups here this week. Orangeville's looking to try to get a win over Polo to make the playoffs. You have West Carroll doing the same thing, traveling to Lena Winslow. East Dubuque is also there, hosting EPC. And then you have Milledgeville going up to Warren as well, trying to make that fifth win to get into the playoff picture. So we got a lot of interesting games this week. With that said, we'll get started on our matchups and predictions. Our first game is going to take us to the Northwest Division, where we have the EPC Wildcats going to East Dubuque. EPC comes in at 7-1 after their loss to Forreston last week, 21-7, and East Dubuque is 4-4 after their 43-0 loss to Lena Winslow. In this matchup, really, East Dubuque needs to make a win, or needs to have a win to make the playoffs. They've given up over 100 points over their last 3 games, the last 3 weeks. All games that they were trying to get that fifth win, and they haven't scored yet in those 3 contests either. I see this matchup being pretty much mostly the same way as they face EPC. EPC's looking to get ready for the playoffs after that loss last week to Forreston in a pivotal matchup for the Northwest Conference title. EPC also needs to get a win as well, because they're going to want to have a higher seed. That way they can host their first round matchup. In this game, I really see as EPC as the favorite. As long as they come out to play like they have all season long, they should be able to take this game pretty easily. I'm hoping we can see East Dubuque show up. They've really been lambasted the last 2 weeks in back-to-back 43-0 scores to Lena Winslow and West Carroll, and then the 62-0 loss to Forreston. They're really going to need to show up this week in order to have a chance to beat EPC, but I still like EPC in this matchup. Our second game in the Northwest Division takes us down to Forreston, where the Cardinals host the Pecatonica Indians. Pecatonica comes into this game at 0-8, while Forreston comes in at 8-0. Pecatonica had a very narrow loss last week to Amboy 7-0, which was a very impressive defensive effort for Pecatonica, who has struggled for the good part of the year. Pretty excited to see what's going to take place here in the next coming months going in for next season. For the most part, though, I really don't see Pecatonica having much of a chance in this game, as Forreston is very well equipped to make a deep run in the playoffs this year, as proven with their 21-7 win over EPC last week. If Forreston gets this win this week, it will be their first outright conference title, and it will also provide them with the number 2 seed in the playoffs, which is going to be a great thing for Forreston looking forward at that playoff positioning. With that said, though, I think Forreston's going to win this game pretty big. Our next game takes us up to Galena, where they're going to play host to Dakota. Dakota comes into this game with a 5-3 record after their 27-0 win over Milledgeville last week, while Galena comes in with a 2-6 record after their 48-3 loss to West Carroll. With this game, a win for Dakota has them getting a shot at a first-round home game if they finish 6-3. That's mainly due to the fact that 1A is very... there's a lot going on in 1A, let's just put it that way, as far as teams that can make the playoffs. Dakota being at 6-3 will have one of the higher playoff point totals. With that said, they're also going to need a Milledgeville victory to help them get that extra point so that they can get that first-round home matchup. For Galena, it's really been a disappointing season, as we've said before, so I'm not going to delve into that too much. I really do feel that Dakota's going to win this game, and I feel they'll win it pretty big. We're going to move gears here to the upstate side of the conference, where the Stockton Blackhawks will be playing the AFC Raiders. AFC comes in a game at 2-6 after they lost to Polo last week, 49-8. And Stockton comes in with an 8-0 record after they beat Aquin last week 60-22. Stockton just needs to take care of business in this game as usual. I don't see them having a problem with that. As long as they do that, they're going to come out with the outright conference title championship. And with that win, if they can get it, which they should, that win will put them at the number 3 seed for the playoffs, and that's going to be pretty much a lock for the Blackhawks. I like Stockton big in this matchup. Next game's going to take us over to Durand, where they will play host to River Ridge. River Ridge comes in at 1-7 after they lost to Orangeville last week, 36-20, while Durand comes in at 0-8 after they lost to Warren, 46-8. Really, this matchup is going to determine who's the best of the worst, really. Durand has had a hard time all season long, where River Ridge is starting to turn things up a little bit as they've put up some points here in their last 2 games, 62 points to be exact. They do have a new little option here in Marcelo Diaz, who has come in the last 2 weeks, and he's really going to be the key to River Ridge. And I really like River Ridge in this matchup. I think they're going to put up some points on the board and take care of Durand this week. This matchup takes us up to Warren, where the Warriors are going to play the Milledgeville Missiles. The Missiles come into town with a 4-4 record after they lost to Dakota 27-0, which happens to be their 3rd straight loss in their quest for that 5th win to get playoff eligible. Warren comes in at 2-6 after they beat Durand 46-8, and what has really been a little bit of a disappointing season for Warren. If you look at their record at 2-6, 5 of them 6 losses are games that they've had a chance to be in or have played in. Their average loss in those games is by a touchdown. So they really feel that they could have been a playoff team. I feel that they could have been a playoff team based off of where I saw them at the beginning of the season. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out as they lost that opportunity 2 weeks ago. But in this matchup, I could see them giving Milledgeville a real good game here. It's going to be a pretty even matchup despite the records. Milledgeville needs to get a win in this game to make the playoffs. As long as they do win, they'll most likely get the last seed of the playoff selection process, where they would most likely be playing at Ottawa-Marquette in the first round. As long as Ottawa-Marquette takes care of their opponent this week, which is a very favorable game for Marquette, they will be the number 1 seed for your Class 1A playoffs in the North bracket. I do like Milledgeville in this game. I would not be surprised if this is a hard-fought, close game, however. I would probably say it's going to be within a score, or maybe 2 at the most, but any more than that, I'd be surprised. Next game is going to be our crossover game as Amboy travels to Aquin. Amboy comes in at 3-5 after a 7-0 win over Pecatonica last week, while Aquin comes in at 7-1 after they stumbled to Stockton and lost 60-22. An Amboy win benefits the Northwest side for seeding purposes only. As long as Amboy wins this game, every Northwest team will get an additional playoff point, which will help them. Whereas an Aquin win is something that they're going to need to bounce back after that big loss to Stockton last week. Early on in the matchup, they fought pretty good. Stockton got up in that game 8-0 very quickly, just a minute over into the game. And then Aquin quickly tied it up as well a couple minutes later. And then after that, it pretty much went all Stockton's way. Aquin fought hard there. They did make it a 24-14 game and then came out after halftime to pull within 2 scores again. But after that, it was a Stockton runaway freight train. With that said, Aquin's got a lot of good things that they can work on. They have a very solid passing game. They do have 2 running backs that can cause problems for opposing defenses, and they're going to need that to prevail for them to win, which I do feel that a solid win here will get the Dogs in the right direction heading into the playoffs. where I could see them making a little bit of noise there in the playoffs as well. A win here, too, will most likely see the Bulldogs with the number 4 seed in the Class 1A playoffs. This takes us to our Northwest game of the week, where the West Carroll Thunder travel to Lena Winslow to take on the Panthers. West Carroll comes in this game at 4-4 after they beat Galena last week 48-3, while Lena Winslow comes in at 6-2 after their 43-0 win over East Dubuque. This is really a big game here for both teams. For West Carroll, a win will get them into the playoffs, or at least an opportunity to get into the playoffs, depending on where everything falls. Because they're going to be pretty close to that cutoff. Right now I see the cutoff around 36 points. West Carroll's going to be pretty close to that. For Lena Winslow, a win here will get them a first round home game, and that's pretty much going to be guaranteed. With that said, though, West Carroll will have that hard time because their crossover game was with Durand. Most likely, Durand will not get a win in this last game here with River Ridge. I really see River Ridge as the favorite in that game. And with that said, that means that's 0 points for West Carroll for their playoff picture. Keep in mind, too, they'll also receive 0 points for Pecatonica because I don't feel Pecatonica is going to be able to beat Forreston. So that's 2 games there for West Carroll that aren't going to benefit them. Most notably with the crossover game, as everybody in the Northwest sides had to play Pecatonica. For Lena Winslow, with a win here, they'll have that first round home game. More than likely, they'll be a 6, maybe 5 seed, depending on where they fall with playoff points and whatever else happens going into Week 9. I do see Lee win as a favorite in this game. I'm not discrediting West Carroll. West Carroll has come on fire as of late the last 2 weeks. They've put the Galena and East Dubuque both to the woodshed the last 2 weeks in very emphatic fashions, 43-0 and 48-3. I feel that West Carroll also feels they're playing better football right now this time of year, which they are. They probably wish that they were playing this way earlier in the season too, so they could have garnered more wins. But this will be a very big matchup here. I could really see it going either way, but I really do like Lena Winslow in this game. Reason being is, one, coaching. I've said it before, I'll say it again, Lena Winslow has the best coaching staff in the entire NUIC right now. They also have the most tenured coaching staff in the NUIC, and they make great adjustments late in the season, late in the game. And Lena Winslow's coming on tough right now. They got some younger kids that are getting more playing time, getting more comfortable at the varsity level. And they're doing what Lena Winslow does every year. Start slow, pick up late, get ready for the playoffs. And that's exactly where the Panthers are at right now heading into this matchup. So I'm going to take Lena Winslow in this game. This takes us to our upstate game of the week, where we have the Polo Marcos traveling to Orangeville to take on the Broncos. Polo comes in this game at 5-3 after their 49-8 win over AFC, and Orangeville comes in at 4-4 after they beat River Ridge last week 36-20. And this matchup has a lot on the line here as well. Orangeville, as long as they win, can get into the playoffs. They will need a little bit of help to get over that bubble line. If Aquin can beat Amboy, which I feel they're favorited to win that game, Orangeville will have 37 playoff points as long as they can beat Polo. Polo, on the other hand, if they were to lose this game, will still get into the playoffs because they have enough playoff points to get in at 5-4. This game, too, if Orangeville does win, can speak volumes as far as pushing another team in Class 1A up into Class 2A, which right now would be Chicago Uplift. However, Uplift plays a very tough game this week with Chicago Simeon in the first round of the Chicago Public League playoffs, which Simeon is a very heavy favorite in that game. An Uplift loss, even though they would be 5-4, will keep them out of the playoffs, which means if Orangeville can beat Polo, more than likely that's going to push Tuscola, who is the number 2 ranked team in state, most likely going to be undefeated going into the playoffs up into Class 2A. So this has a lot of potential riding on this game here. Broncos need this win so that they can get back to the playoffs for the first time in quite some time. I'm sorry I didn't look up the stats this week. You can blame me, do whatever. But it's been a while. The coaching staff at Orangeville is very proud of what they've accomplished. They like what they have coming forward. Bronco pride is there. You can feel it. You can hear it. Anytime you're in Orangeville, they're talking about They're talking about the Broncos. I really like what Orangeville has going for themselves. They started off the season doing some things that they thought would be the right things to do, have since changed some of the things that they have done, and has resulted in some more wins for the Broncos. Regardless, win or lose, Orangeville has improved dramatically over last season, where they went 1-8. Polo, on the other hand, if they can get that win Friday night, that'll be win number 6, which automatically puts them in the playoffs. They will have a mid-seed with a win at 6-3. Right now, I'm kind of forecasting them with a number 9 seed, potentially, based off of playoff points as their crossover game was with EPC. And if Dakota wins, that could be a first-round matchup right there, Polo at Dakota. That's all going to depend on how everything plays out. It's kind of how I see it playing out, depending on the matchups and everything else. I do like Polo in this game. I think they have a little bit of an edge over Orangeville. I would not be surprised if this is a very close contested game, as Orangeville's doing a lot of things differently than they did at the start of the season. But with that said, I'm going to take Polo in this game, probably by a score or 2. So that brings you our Week 9 matchups and predictions. We will be heading to Orangeville for the game there on Friday against Polo, and Shane will be heading to Lena to take in the Lena-Winslow-West Carroll game. That is if he can get out of the fields on time. As everybody knows, it's harvest season, so but we plan on bringing you 2 games this week. With that said, our Week 9 game recaps will be a day late. Normally we have those ready for you on Saturday morning. However, Carrie and myself will be up in Ann Arbor, Michigan for the Michigan vs. Illinois football game this weekend. Go Blue, by the way. But with that said, we have a lot of things that we're going to provide for you throughout the weekend. We will get you those Week 9 recaps on Sunday. We will get you the playoff pairings listed, at least, on Saturday night after they come out on Facebook and Twitter. We will get you a full bracket on Sunday. We will also be doing our playoff preview video, which is going to be very exciting to do. We'll have that out there for you on Monday, so you can watch that as well. Our biggest highlight is going to be our playoff bracket.
Yep, we're going to provide you guys with 1A and 2A class brackets. We'd love for you guys to fill it out, March Madness style, and, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's always fun.
It's March Madness style, but for high school football. So we're excited to bring that for you. We want to see your guys' votes. I'll have my predictions out there on Facebook and Twitter as well, so you guys can see them. We'd like for you to submit yours if you're willing to play and participate. You don't even have to put your name on it. You could send it to us, direct message, either myself, Carrie, or Shane, and we could put it out there for you anonymously. We'd like to see what you have, because we'd like to come up with a full panel of your guys' viewings with our viewings and make out a playoff bracket based off of a collective selection process. We look for it to be a lot of fun. We're not discrediting any teams. It is strictly just for fun. But, with that said, always root for the NUIC. Hi, Shane. Bye, Shane.